Mom, can I have Eyes of Heaven? No, we have Eyes of Heaven at home.
Eyes of Heaven at home.
You are probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. Well, let me introduce myself. I'm Alex, game developer. So, why am I making a JoJo game? Reason number 1. JoJo is cool. Reason number 2. I don't need any more reasons, that's enough. Okay? Now, in order to make a 3D game, I need 3D models. And if you have watched my previous video, you should know that my 3D art skills are like the Avatar movie. Inexistent.
There's no movie in Ba Sing Se.
So, how can I get good looking models? Well, if I search for free models, all the results I get are suspiciously similar to the models of Eyes of Heaven, which is kinda illegal. And I'm not doing illegal things today. Since I can't get good JoJo 3D models for free, I have to make them myself. So I opened Blender, spent more time than I'd like to admit, and made some GG's JOTARO and DIO 3D models. Introducing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 64. You get it? Cause they look like Nintendo 64 graphics. Please don't leave, there are better jokes, I promise. Later I realized that I will also need stand 3D models. But this time I took some artistic liberties, you know. Yeah, it's not like I really thought that making them less humanoid would make them easier to animate, right? Of course not. That sounded weirdly specific, right? Alright, I have the 3D models. Now let's make some Dark Souls movement. But why Dark Souls? Reason number 1. Dark Souls is cool. Reason number 2. So let's jump into coding. Okay, what? Yeah, like that's ever gonna happen. Well, that's it. Running and rolling. By the way, do you remember when Yotaro started flying because... Well, that's besides the point. What matters is that it is also a feature in my game. You know, guys, if I'm known for something, for being faithful to original work. Now, the next step is attacking. You can summon Star Platinum and control it to attack. But let's be honest, guys, right now it looks kinda like... So let's add some particles and sounds to make it more... juicy. Okay, what? Whoa, so this is what it must feel like to be a David production animator. And that's it. Yes, just like in the anime, Star Platinum has an attack range, and you can totally control him within that range. Hell yeah, making 2 playable characters and 4 different cameras? Totally a good idea! Hey, who am you from the future? Now it's time to include Dio. My goal is to make 5 attacks. Let's start with I-beams. Yes, do you remember when Dio used an attack called Space Reaper's Stingy Eyes in part 1? Well, I do. In order to make the beam, I used Unity's line renderer, and after some encoding, here's the result. Oh, sorry, that was the unpolished version. Yeah, that's better. Now let's move on to the second attack. This one wasn't particularly hard to code. I just have to move Saguardo, play an animation, and activate some colliders I have attached to the hand bones. Piece of cake! And that makes 2. Next attack. You never know when a teenager is going to move in your frozen time, so you should carry 3 or 4 of these just in case, you know, safety first. This one was a little harder to make, but no big deal, honestly. Just take an angle, a number of knives, divide the angle by the number of knives, and use the number to set the rotation of the knives. This is not a nerd contest, Alex! Okay, 2 to go! And the next one is... This attack was so hard to make that I had to use 4.2069% of my game development power, guys! I didn't want to model a road roller, and I couldn't find one for free, so I downloaded a bulldozer model and modified it. Instead of just teleporting Dio to a very high position, I teleported him a few meters up and then decreased his size. While he's falling, his size gradually returns to normal, but the player doesn't notice. I also have to make something with the road roller. I mean, it has to explode or something. So I went back to Blender, used an add-on called Self-Fracture, and voila! Shattered road roller. Back in Unity, add some physics, and you don't. Okay, last attack. Stopping time is no joke. This was quite hard to code. If you find any bug, I bet it's related to stopping time. Now, stopping time whenever you want is not fun, guys, so I have created a time energy system. In order to stop time, you have to fill your time energy bar by charging energy, just like in any Dragon Ball or Naruto game. Then you can use the energy to stop time. But that's not all. You can also use your time energy to make Dio's stop time elapse faster. Use it wisely. Okay, I've made all the attacks. Now I need some kind of AI to decide which attacks to use at every moment. So after a thoughtful analysis, I decided to go with... behavior trees? What? You don't know what behavior trees are? Well, behavior trees are like a box of chocolates. You can't find any of them built in Unity. Since I can't afford this set, I made some googling and came across this pretty cool implementation called Fluid Behavior Tree. Nice! But how does a behavior tree work? Basically, a behavior tree decides which actions can be executed when and in which order. Let's say you want your AI to chase and hit the player. First, you use a selector node to decide whether your AI should chase or hit the player, and then you use a sequence node to move the AI towards the player when it's far. It's a little more complicated than that, but that's like the very basics of it. After finishing the behavior sequoia, I went to the asset store, downloaded a CD asset and replaced the prototyping models. and gameplay is finished. But you can't make a Yoyo game without Yoyo music, so I made a remix of Jotaro's theme. By the way, cool fact, did you know the Jotaro's theme played backwards actually is Jotaro's theme played backwards? And this is just a cool picture of Yorno. Smash subscribe if you didn't know this cool fact! Anyway, the game is finished, so I can finally go to sleep and publish it tomorrow. Hey Alex, what about copyright issues? And that's how I decided to dub my game. Okay, the game is on itch.io totally free. I'll leave a link in the description. You know, you can play it while you wait for Stone Ocean, Elden Ring, both of them. So, how do you play this game? Step 1. Subscribe to my channel. If you don't, my stand All-Star won't let you play the game. That's one of his 34 abilities. Step 2. I recommend you use a controller, but don't worry, you can also play with mouse and keyboard. Controls are very similar to Dark Souls. Move with joystick, hold gamepad's right button to run, tap to roll, R3 to lock and unlock camera, RT to attack, LT to stop attacking, gamepad's left button to charge time energy, gamepad's top button to use time energy, either to stop time or make Dio's stop time lapse faster, and finally start to pause. Don't worry, you can find the controls on the pause menu, and that's all. I hope you guys like it, consider subscribing for more trash, and see you in the next video.